What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, friends. If you are new here, my name is Lexi. I'll put my Instagram handle on whatever side, one of the sides. But welcome back to my channel. I am sitting down to film a fun video today. So I recently recorded a video and put it up called Shit They Don't Tell You About Bikini Prep. And it did really well. It got a lot of views, a lot of good feedback. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to kind of make this into a little series. And I'm bringing you guys another Shit They Don't Tell You video today. So today's topic is shit they don't tell you about bikini prep, but specifically talking about the cost, like what it costs to really compete and go through a competition prep. Because to be quite honest, you guys, that is one of the things I feel like nobody really talks about. It is one of the things you would consider, you know, shit they don't tell you. And, you know, I don't want to make this video to scare anybody off from competing by any means, but I think that it's always a good idea to have an idea of what you're going to have to spend, right, going into this sport. Because, you know, we see so many people competing, whether it be on Instagram, just whatever social platform it may be. And I think because we see so many people do it, we oftentimes don't feel like it's gonna cost that much, but it truly is a very expensive sport. So I'm gonna break it down in this video for everybody out there of truly what it costs to compete, not only to compete at a show, but, you know, bringing up the costs of the cost that you're gonna have to pay during your prep, during your bikini prep. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. I have a whole list on my phone, and then I'll also talk about some areas, you know, where you can potentially save money if you need to, if you're rather, you know, frugal. I know I'm always looking to kind of, you know, save money where I can. So there are certain things when it comes to competing that you do definitely just need to splurge and spend the money on in order to do well. But there are also some areas where you can, you know, pull back and, you know, cut back on your how much you're spending, and I'll talk about those too. So sit back, grab your coffee, grab your tea, do whatever you gotta do. Do your cardio. I always love when you guys tag me, you know, when you're watching these while you're doing your cardio. It makes me so happy. So anyways, okay, so let's get to the good stuff. So I'm gonna kind of break this up, and we're gonna talk first about just maybe very standard monthly fees you may have to pay throughout the duration of your prep. So for those of you watching, if you are not a competitor, when I refer to prep, I basically mean prep for a bodybuilding show. So preparation, meaning, you know, the whole phase of leading up to the bodybuilding show. So the first thing is always going to be coaching. You know, I really, really recommend getting a coach and not coaching yourself into a show, especially if it's your first show. I know very, very few people that can actually coach themselves for a show. You know, you may feel like you know what to do, but it does help to have, you know, a very objective eye guiding you along the way, right? Just taking the stress away from you. So coaching is going to be the first fee, and that, you know, that's going to be something that's going to stay the same throughout the entire prep. And I know typically most coaches, you know, myself included as a coach, we charge on a monthly basis. Now, coaching is going to range depending on who your coach is. So, you know, I'm going to kind of say and break it down and say you may be paying anywhere from $200 to $300 a month for coaching. Generally, I would say most coaches for competition prep are a little bit more expensive than just if you're looking to seek out coaching, you know, in your improvement season, in a reverse diet, you know, for a lifestyle cut, etc. So I'm also going to put the numbers, you know, down here as I kind of split them out too, and I'll kind of give a total at the end as well. So let's just say $200 to $300 a month for coaching, and that's going to stay the same. That's going to stay steady throughout the entire prep, right? The next thing that may potentially be a monthly fee that you have to pay for throughout the duration of your prep is supplements. Everybody takes a different amount of supplements. You know, I personally know I don't take a crazy, you know, amount of supplements, but that is a fee that you're going to kind of have to factor in and have to pay for, you know, we'll say monthly throughout your prep, because typically most standard supplements will last you maybe a month, right, if you're using them religiously and daily. So, I mean, gosh, depending on how much you're taking, I mean, I'm going to say on the conservative side, supplements could be anywhere from, I would say, $75 to $100 a month, even more. You know, if you're buying, you know, like a cortisol supplement, a multi, you know, all these different things, right? It can definitely add up. So we'll play it somewhat conservative, and I would say $100 a month for supplements if you are into that. And I'm not talking about PEDs. I don't do that. We don't do that over here. If that's your thing, okay, then that's another fee, but we're not going to talk about that today. So I'm just generally talking about just like your supplements that maybe your coach prescribes you to take from a supplement company, protein included. So we'll say about $100 a month for that, right? Okay, so that's the second kind of monthly fee. Let me look down at my list so I don't forget. Okay, next fee throughout your prep. And this is going to be individual for people, but I would say in today's day and age, I think it's a lot more common than it used to be. But posing coaching. Generally, I think, some people will get posing coaching with their normal coach, but I would say that, seeking out an actual posing coach who does posing coaching for a living, that's another fee you have to take into consideration. Now, I've seen, different posing coaches just going to be like regular coaches. They all charge a little bit of a different amount depending on like their credibility, etc. But I would say standard, you may be paying around $40 to $50 per session for a 30-minute session with a posing coach. So let's say you get, 3-4 sessions with a posing coach. That could easily be $150 to $200. And now that's for the duration of your prep. So that's also a fee that you kind of have to consider. So those are kind of all of the little fees, throughout the prep. Not to mention you're going to have, gym membership fees. But, that's not really anything that's like specific to prep. Usually you're going to have a gym membership regardless if you're in prep or not, but that's another little fee to take into account. So now I want to talk about like more specific fees as far as getting ready for show day. So like what you need when you're on stage. So we're going to talk shoes, we're going to talk heels, we're going to talk jewelry, potentially hair extensions, all of that glitz and glam and kind of how much it costs. So let's talk about suit first. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy suit that I just happen to have next to me. So I got my suit right here. I have amazing suits from Angel Competition Bikinis. I've gotten all my suits from them. Shameless plug, I do have a discount code with them. I will put it below, but it's always in the description box. But let's talk about a suit. How much does a suit really cost? So suits can range in cost, just like coaching fees, etc. Suits will range in their cost. I would say, generally speaking, you don't want to get a bad suit. Like, you don't want to get just a suit that has like no crystal coverage. I think that a lot of times girls, they want to, if they want to buy a cheap suit, that's fine, but just realize that if you're getting a suit that's like, it does not have a lot of crystal coverage, that may make you stand out on stage in the wrong way. Will that potentially affect your placing? Well, I don't know. If it makes you stand out in a bad way, it could. So I always say look at your suit as an investment. Suits can range anywhere from $400 to, I've seen all the way up to like $650, even more. For one suit. But like I said, look at it as an investment. These suits, especially the ones from AC Bikinis, they are so gorgeous, but not only that, they're going to last a long time. So you don't have to get a new suit every show. You can wear the same darn suit for all of your shows. The judges don't care. So you don't have to buy a new suit for every show, but I'm going to say that, ballpark range, suits are going to range anywhere from, I would say, $400 to like $650 ballpark range. So that is going to be a pretty big fee, right? Now the next thing is you have to obviously have shoes to wear on stage, right? So I just so happen to have my handy dandy shoes right next to me as well. These are specifically the Olympians from the Shoe Fairy. I've done a review on them on this channel before, but they are amazing. They are so comfortable, and not to mention they look very sleek and very clean. So shoes are also going to range. If you get something like the Shoe Fairy heel, I think this costs me about $80. Now, I do have a discount code for the Shoe Fairy as well, another shameless plug. I'll put it below, but it's also always in the description box. These are really phenomenal shoes, and again, these are something that will last you a year plus. So it's not something you're going to have to purchase before every show. There are some, cheaper heels that you can get on Amazon. Now, I'm not going to lie. I used to have a pair of them. They get very dingy easily. They get very dirty, and they are super, super uncomfortable. So I personally recommend investing in something like the Shoe Fairy Olympian. As I said, I think these are about $80. I have a discount code, so it'll save you a little bit of money. But these are awesome. But this is also another fee. So we'll say shoes around $80, right? Depending on what type of shoe you get. Now the next thing I want to talk about for stage is jewelry. A lot of people have questions about jewelry. I'm not gonna lie, jewelry is something that you can, get by with kind of just buying the cheap jewelry. I've gotten my jewelry on Amazon before. There are also companies, I know the Shoe Fairy does sell jewelry as well, but typically, you're just going to want to buy, definitely some earrings, maybe a bracelet or two, a ring. You don't need to, buy a ton of stuff, but jewelry, I would say ballpark range for everything. If you're playing it pretty conservative and maybe just buying your jewelry on Amazon, heck, you're probably only going to spend $50 tops. That's one of the things you can get by with kind of buying like a cheaper version. Just buy your jewelry on Amazon if you really are looking to kind of save some money there. So jewelry, ballpark range, I'd say about $50, unless you're purchasing your jewelry from maybe the Shoe Fairy or another company. It may be a little bit more expensive for that. So we have suit, we have heels, we have jewelry, all the things you're wearing on stage. Now, let's talk about the other little things that go into show day, such as like glam, so your makeup, your hair, your tan, those are all fees as well. Now, I will, like I said, at the end of this video, talk about some areas where you can potentially cut costs. So, and makeup and hair is going to be one of those things, and potentially your tan, but I'll talk about that later. So if you are to get your makeup done at a show, a reputable makeup artist who specifically does makeup for competitors, they are going to be, I would say I've paid anywhere from, I would say pretty standard, $150. So we'll put makeup, if you get it done by a professional, as $150 for show day, right? For one time getting your makeup done. Now, if you're doing a 2-day show, you're gonna have to double that cost, but most shows are not 2 days. So hair. That's another thing. I have personally always done my own hair. When you're stepping on stage, your hair doesn't need to be crazy extravagant. Like, curl it, straighten it, do whatever you gotta do. But I personally, don't get my hair done by a professional. I just do it myself. You just have to make sure it's, got some good volume. Maybe you put in some extensions as well. And that can potentially be another cost too if you choose to invest in extensions, but I'm not really gonna add that on here. That's kind of a personal preference if you choose to get extensions or not. But hair is really one thing you don't need to really splurge and have somebody else do unless you are like not confident at all in your ability to do so. But makeup, about $150 to get it done for a show. Now let's talk about tanning, because tanning is a large fee, I would say, for show day. So, if you're getting your tan done by the host tanning company, I've seen it range anywhere from, $100 to $200. We'll say standard $150. So tanning is a pretty big fee as well. There are things out there, like Pro Tan has a DIY tanning kit, but if you buy that whole tanning kit, it's like $100. So that can save you a little bit of money, but I would say standard tanning is gonna be about $150, and that's something that you have to buy for the show. You can't go on stage without a tan, right? So we have hair, we have makeup, and we have the tanning. I do always get a lot of questions from competitors about nails, and they always ask me, do I need to get my nails done? And fun fact, I have never got my nails done before a show. I've done 5 shows total, and I've never got my nails done at a nail salon. Getting my nails done is just something I personally don't spend money on. I do my own nails, but I do know a lot of girls that like to go get, acrylics, or like to go get their nails done before a show, but you don't have to do that. You can honestly paint your own nails. Just don't do anything too flashy. I've also seen some people just put on the press-ons, and you can absolutely do that. Your nails are very small. They're not going to be the focal point on stage. Just make sure they're polished and they look nice, but you definitely don't need to go and get your nails done if you don't want. You can if you want, but that's an area where you can cut potential costs. So now let's talk about the actual show costs. So what it costs to enroll in a show. So first and foremost, if you are an NPC bikini athlete, so meaning you are not a pro yet, you have to purchase your NPC card in order to be eligible to compete for the year for these NPC shows, right? I think a lot of new competitors don't remember that or don't know of that. So you have to have your NPC card. I'll double check before I put up this video, but I believe it's either $100 or $150, and it allows you to compete for the whole calendar year, or the whole year upon purchasing. I can't remember, in any NPC show. So you do have to have that. That is a one-time fee. So I will double check on that, but as I said, I'll put it down here whenever I find out. It's either $100 or $150. I can't remember. So that's a fee, and then you also have to pay to compete in the show. So when you are signing up to compete in a show, you're going to decide what classes you want to compete in. Standard, always compete in the open division. So usually it's going to cost, $125 to purchase your way into the show, to compete in that division. Now, here's where potentially can add up. If you are somebody who wants to compete in the open division, but you also want to compete in the novice division and the true novice division, you have to purchase separately for each of those divisions. So it may be $125 to compete in the open division, and then you may have to buy, purchase another, or it may be another $125. Every show's a little different. It may be another $125 to compete in novice, and then another $125 to compete in true novice, right? So it stacks up. You don't just have a one-time fee to compete in as many divisions as you want. You have to buy a spot for each of those divisions, right? So if you're choosing to compete in open, novice, true novice, those are all different fees you're going to have to pay. So those can absolutely add up pretty quickly, and I would say it's going to depend upon the show, but pretty standard, I would say about $100 to $125 per division that you choose to enroll yourself in. So those are the actual show day costs. So we have the NPC card that you will have to buy before competing in any NPC show, and that's a one-time fee, as I said, for the year. And then you have the actual fee of buying your way into the show, your whatever division you're going to compete in. Now, a couple of things to take into account that I want to touch on really quick, and this isn't going to apply to everybody, but if you are traveling for your show, you are going to have to consider travel costs, hotel costs, flight tickets if you have to fly to your show, and hotel costs. I think most people do end up staying at the hotel or the host hotel, and that could easily be $100, $150, maybe $200 a night. So those are other fees you have to take into account as well. So that kind of wraps up everything I had on my list, all of the main things that you're going to have to pay for when it comes to just competition prep in general, but also just your show day. Now, of course, I didn't mention the little things. Maybe if you choose to buy a robe for backstage or backstage slides, I didn't really want to go into the little details with those things, because quite honestly, you don't need those things, but maybe you want them. I just wanted to kind of go over the bare necessities in this video. So what I'll do after I, film this video is I'm going to total up everything, and I will put a grand total down below for everything I kind of discussed. But I do want to hit on a couple of things before I end this video. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I wanted to let you guys know there are some areas where you can potentially save some money. There are some areas where you cannot save some money. You're just going to want to spend the money, because you don't want to try and buy a really cheap suit that's going to look off on stage and distract the judges in a bad way, right? There are areas where you just have to spend the money, but there are some areas where you can get by with saving a little bit of money, and those areas are going to be the following. So the nails, like I talked about, you don't need to get your nails professionally done. You can also potentially save money when it comes to your suit. So if you're not ready to spend maybe $500 on a suit, you can rent a suit out. There are certain suit companies where you can rent a suit, or there are certain, I know, Instagram accounts or some people that will actually allow you to rent suits from them. So you can do a suit rental potentially. Or if you have a friend who is the same size, you could potentially borrow a suit if they are kind enough to allow you to do that. Another area where you can cut costs is going to be makeup and hair. Like I said, you don't really need to get your hair done by a professional. As long as you add the volume, you can straighten it, you can curl it yourself. You don't need to add that fee on and have somebody professionally do it, unless you want them to, right? Makeup is another area where you can potentially cut costs. So as I mentioned, makeup usually will run, we'll say standard $150 if you get a good, reputable makeup artist. But if you are somebody who wants to maybe cut down on show day costs and you learn to do your own makeup, that can be a spot where you cut down on that cost. But I will say, with all of the makeup that you would have to purchase yourself to do your own makeup, it's probably going to end up being around $150 within itself too. So, if you're doing multiple shows, that's a very easy way, I guess, to maybe save some money if you buy all that makeup for $150 and then use it for multiple shows. But if you buy all that makeup for $150 and then you do your own makeup for one show, it's really not going to save you that much money. So those are kind of the main areas. I'm going to look at my list one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything when it comes to cutting costs. But those are kind of the main little areas where you can afford to cut costs and have it not impact like you as a competitor or you are placing on stage. But I'm gonna wrap up this video here since it's becoming a little bit longer. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was really helpful if you are a first-time competitor or just a competitor in general, or somebody who maybe has never competed it but you are curious to do so. You know, I would say it's always so sad, and like the worst thing that could happen is for somebody to start a prep and then, you know, get far into their prep and realize, oh crap, like I can't afford this. So I just I wanted to make this video to enlighten everybody out there what it truly does cost. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is like quite literally shit they don't tell you about bikini prep. You know, nobody's on Instagram telling you how much they paid for their show. You know, you see a lot of girls competing in all of these shows, and you know, they add up and they're expensive. And you know, not to mention when you are competing at a national level show compared to a regional show, usually it's going to be a lot more expensive, because when you're competing at a national level show, well, usually the show entry is actually more expensive than a regional show. And also usually for national shows, you know, since there are only 6, maybe 7 that happen per year, you know, chances are that you're going to have to travel to one of those. You know, you're probably not going to get lucky and just have one that's going to be in your neck of the woods, right? You're going to have to travel to one of those, and then that's when you are going to have to factor in maybe the flight costs, the hotel costs, the Uber fees that, you know, you have to use when you get there, right? So, you know, when it comes to a regional show versus a national show, you have to expect that you're going to have to pay a lot more for a national show. But the good news is, I think that by, you know, by watching this video, by kind of having an idea of what it potentially would cost to compete, as long as you budget accordingly, you know, save up, I think that it is realistic, right? And at the end of the day, if this is what you love to do, you should be able to justify, you know, spending the funds to do something that really adds to your life and just makes you happy. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like it, please comment if you have anything you want to add, share it, please subscribe to my channel. That would be super helpful and really helps me out, and I appreciate you guys so much and all the support. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap up this video here, and I will catch you guys in the next video.